son of Cyrus got in with some of his counselors, and they said, you better put a stop to what they're doing. And so the king's brother put a stop to the rebuilding of the wall in Jerusalem. And all of a sudden they were saying to themselves, didn't God tell us that we were going to be able to rebuild the wall? And now they've been told not to do it. And we've left Babylon to come here to rebuild the wall. And now we can't. Is God's prophecy not being fulfilled? Have we been deceived? Has God been mocked? Right? And so Daniel began to pray and mourn. After all, God had promised the Jews their own land to return. The Jews were deprived of all the opportunities of rebuilding the temple. And they began to misunderstand and mistrust God. And this could have caused grief and anxiety with oppressed the prophet. So Daniel mentions the third year of Cyrus as the circumstances of that period.
Yep.
And points out the reason for his abstaining from tasty food. Now notice what he does. Notice this. For 3 full weeks, Daniel, verse 3, Janet, verse 3, Daniel 10:3.
I ate no pleasant bread, neither came flesh nor wine in my mouth, neither did I anoint myself at all, till 3 whole weeks were fulfilled.
Daniel, for 21 days, did not eat spaghetti or any tasty foods. No chicken, no lamb. He didn't drink any wine. Darn. He didn't have any cappuccino coffee.
Terrible.
Terrible, isn't it? And he did not use Old Spice body soap. Of course, they didn't have hot showers and fragrant deodorants, so they would anoint their body with oil.
And make you smell better.
Have you ever gone 21 days without meat, spaghetti, and a cup of coffee or a Coke? Have you ever gone 21 days and not ate some delicacy like frog legs? Fine food of the land? Can you understand frog legs and oxen and calves and lambs or birds was something that was well liked in Babylon? And he ate that stuff. I mean, you are allowed to eat frog legs if you like them. They're a delicacy. They are good, but they're a delicacy. And Daniel, you got to eat about 12 of them, right? Daniel said, I am not going to eat any of this. He decided he wasn't going to eat the finer bread. You know, they could make some good bread, but he decided, I'm going to eat black bread. I'm not going to eat any of that stuff. He was content with plain bread to satisfy his necessities. Daniel, listen, Daniel had little desire to exalt his external appearance. Now, I finally like to look halfway decent. Ever since Tommy Leatherwood told me I needed to shave and look nice when I go out in public. There was a time I didn't shave, didn't comb my hair, and didn't use deodorant. I was a camp director. Why should I do that? Well, you know what I mean. So Daniel said, I am not going to worry about my external looks. Notice that at the beginning of Daniel's story, in Daniel chapter 1, what did he do? Daniel chapter 1, what did he do?
Fasting.
Huh?
Fasting.
He fasted.
Mm-hmm.
What's he doing at the end of the book?
He's fasting.
He's still fasting. He fasted from good foods and certain habits. Sometimes it does you well to say no to some things you really like. By the way, I might add, when Daniel says he stopped eating the finer foods, must have been that he was eating them. Remember the first time when he came to Babylon, he stopped for a time. Then it seemed he had the freedom to make use of the better bread and meals after that. In other words, it was only for a period of time, and then he decided it's not wrong to have good foods.
Yeah.
You know, there are some people who say, well, you know, if you're a good Christian, you're not going to eat the finer foods. You know, you won't spend your money on good foods. You know, I've discovered when I quit drinking pop, I had to start drinking this. A can of pop costs $1 at the most. This costs $3.59. For one. I mean, it's expensive to eat good.
Yep.
The finer foods. Thank you.
That's why I stick with whole chow.
I noticed. Okay. Now, sorry about that. It really grows on you, don't it? Okay. The object. I'm getting hot. The object. I'm talking to Bill. He just takes and goes with it. His object. When Winston Hall was here, he and I would talk. He would talk. I never talked. He talk. And the next morning when he gets up, he said, Charles, I have to apologize. My wife jumped all over me for talking so much last night. Every night, every morning he'd get up. When he'd go to bed at night, his wife said, Winston, you shouldn't have said this. And so he'd get up the next morning and say, Charles, I need to apologize for saying that. I need to pay attention to what he said. And that sounds just like my wife.
I said, are all wives like that?
Yeah.
Just trying to help them.
Do you do that? Do you do that too?
Now, I want you to notice this.
Not to him, but I have done it. In
I
times
want-
past, huh? Yes.
I want you to understand this. I want to. The first time Winston was here, you remember in Sunday school, we had never met him, we had never seen him. He was in Sunday school class, and he took up where Bill wasn't here. Were you here?
I was here.
Winston took over. Did you notice that? As soon as he had an opportunity to say something, he went right at it, and he never stopped. The only time he ever stopped was when Bill was right here. And Bill sat right here, and every night after the services, Bill took over. He had better stories, they were longer, and they were more exciting, and everybody listened. So I went down where Bob was. I wouldn't even get in there. Now, let me say that the reason that he got off of the finer foods for 3 weeks was not to say, look how good I am. The idea of going to this diet was not to say, look how pious I am. But a person making a humble plea. In other words, he knew what he was facing. He knew what his people were facing. He knew the trials that they were in. He knew the battles they were in. He knew the demons they were in. And it caused him to believe that the only one who could change this was God.
Yeah.
He understood the only person who could make this right would be God. And so he wanted to humble himself and plead and to implore the Almighty God not to permit a repetition of those suffering of his people that they had suffered the last 70 years. He did not want them to go through it again. He pleaded. Yes, Daniel fasted, but we're not to make a big deal of fasting. So that means we have to fast. Fasting is not the issue here. You can fast and get rid of all the food you want to and still not get 1 inch closer to God's power. Fasting caused him to get rid of all, when you eat, and your stomach gets bloated, and you start drinking beer or drinks or wine, and your mind gets all wacky, you're not in shape to pray.